right, hello everyone. I am actually so excited to be sitting down with Marissa. Now I'm afraid to say your last name, Kristovic, right?
Kristovich.
Kristovic. CH. She was just telling me that her husband is from the Philippines, and so sometimes they say that with a B. So you guys can put the two together. It was pretty funny. Anyways, I'm sitting with Marissa. Marissa is a creative partner, and we've chatted here and there. And she, of course, I love watching her YouTube video and channel that she does, and we'll share a little bit more about that. But just her love for sharing creativity and her passion for this wonderful paper crafting hobby and just everything else. So, of course, I always love when I hear these stories. I want to share them with all of you guys because I hope you find as much joy and inspiration when you hear other story, that you can also hear some related to your story. You can hear your story in other people's stories. And of course, I want to share that with you guys. So say hi, Marissa.
Hello.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about you just to kind of start. I know you mentioned you had a store in Hawaii at one point. Just tell us a little bit about you.
So my name is Marissa Kristovich, and I met my husband in the Philippines. He was stationed in the Philippines. Anyway, we got married. I got here. Our first station was in Hawaii, and we stayed there for 22 years. He was able to we call it homestead in Hawaii in the military world. Anyway, so while in Hawaii, I worked at for the civil service, and one of my friends invited me to a party, a scrapbook party.
Okay.
This was back in 2000, the year 2000. And so she invited me, and as I'm sure a lot of us who have been scrapbooking for as long as I have, that's how most of us started with that company. And I'm not going to mention it because I know you have an idea what company that is. Anyway, she showed me how to decorate my pictures and my albums, and I got hooked. And it was, my kids were small then, and it's a part of their artsy classes too. So I scrapbook with them. I just got hooked. Everything just it opened a new world for me. And so I started also back then, I wanted to have my own business, and I could not quit my job because living in Hawaii, as most of you know, that's an expensive place to live.
To live in
Yes.
Paris. Yeah.
So I can't quit my job to start a business, but I also want to start a business. So I didn't want to join any of the companies back then. So I started my company, which was Scrapbooks Hawaii. And what I did then was I bought some products, from wholesale companies, and then I sold them. They had expos there in Hawaii. If you're familiar with Hawaii, there was a stamp expo there at Blaisdell, like 4 or 5 times, sometimes 6 times a year that they do that. And I would sell there. I would buy space, and I would sell my products there. And it had gotten to the point where I'm like, why am I doing this? My inventory can fill out actual store. Mm-hmm. So one of my friends who used to do laser cuts, Hawaiian laser cuts, asked me if we want to, partner up and open a store. So we did. Back in 2007 to 2009, we opened the store. It was an 1,800 square foot store. Mm-hmm. So along the way, because now you have a store, mm-hmm. you have to, Tim Holtz was huge. Oh, he's still huge now.
Yeah, he's awesome. Mixed media, just all of those stuff. Yeah.
All that stuff. Heidi Swap, Ali Edwards, those big names. My goodness, it's like seeing stars whenever I hear their names back then. Because, hey, I was one of the first scrapbook stores in Hawaii then.
Okay.
So when I go to CHA, there's a lot of techniques that they show. They put metals on paper, mm-hmm. they put all kinds of stuff, and what we used to call lumpy bumpy. Sometimes your page would be this thick.
Lumpy, what did you just say?
Lumpy bumpy pages.
Lumpy bumpy, okay.
Your pages would end up to be this thick because you put Oh my God. I don't know if you guys, how
All the
long a lot of
knickknacks
you
and the
guys,
shiny stuff. Absolutely. I remember.
oh,
It was all about the
everything.
embellishments. Uh-huh.
Everything you put, including your sink and your faucet on your pages, basically, because a lot of it's metal stuff. Because Tim brought in all his metal stuff, his sprockets, his gears, whatever.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. But yes, it's all
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was, and then I used, like I was telling Susan earlier, I would go to CHA, meet all these people, and oh my goodness, back then the CHA. I don't know if you've seen the Anaheim Convention Center. That Anaheim Convention Center had several levels, and all those levels are packed. I
yeah.
mean, seriously packed. I don't know if you've gone to the
Yep.
CHA back then. And then they offer classes for this, for the different techniques for us retailers to learn so that we can turn around and teach our customers.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Sometimes it's not even my style. I'd still go in because my customers are clamoring for it, right?
Right.
So, I mean, you put gesso, all kinds of stuff on your pages. Anyway, like I was telling Susan, I mean, I would use all those and then buy all those machines. I still have my original Cricut machine and my silhouette. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if the
Yep.
small ones.
Yep.
So I have a bazillion Sissics dies. I mean, seriously, in my garage right now. And then the ones that you have I forgot what company that is, where you have the commercial die cutting machine. I forgot the company name. It escapes me right now. I still have those dies too, and the machine in my
So you're
garage.
very much, yeah, you're aware of just all the stuff, right?
Yes,
And I know you
because
still love
I have to
stuff.
have those. I
Yeah, you
have to
still
have
love
those.
it. But kind of what happened? Like where did your story go from there? From owning
So
a store and
then the
feeling like
recession
you
happened.
have to stay up to date. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So then the recession happened. I saw my sales going down, and I'm like, okay, before I get in deeper into debt, I close the store because the recession happened.
Right.
Hawaii is 2 years behind the mainland as far as the economy and the recession. So if it hits you guys in 2008, it will hit us in 2000, late 2009, 2010. That's how slow Hawaii hits. I don't know how it is now because I've left Hawaii in 2012.
Okay.
But back then, that's how it was. So I saw the sales going down. So my partner and I decided to close the store, but that's not the end of my story. I
Okay.
still went to Blaisdell. I used to do that. And then I used to also go to the Philippines and have crops there. I'd have 300 ladies there in the Philippines, and I would teach classes there. And the big thing then is mini albums. And I don't know if you even remember those.
Yep.
I
I
would
have a
teach
whole
cards.
closet full
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, I would teach card making. I would in my store. I would have a class almost every Saturday, $5 for 5 cards, and then of course the mini book album classes. I mean, you have to do that to bring customers in,
Right.
right? And then stuff that I don't have to. I again goes back to it's not my style, and yet I still have to show them how to do it. I
Mhm.
have to go to CHA or get some instructions from the wholesalers, send
Yeah.
them to me, and then learn it so that I can turn around and teach classes to sell the products.
Right.
So fast forward, we moved here in the mainland, and work took over. It's a slower pace here, believe it or not,
Oh,
for me.
really?
You, yes, you would
Slower
think it
pace.
was going to be slower in Hawaii, but it's
Yeah.
now a slower pace. I
Not in San
decided,
Francisco though,
I
right?
mean,
Where are you
I'm
located now?
sorry,
Where are you located now? You're not in San Francisco.
Sin City,
Oh, okay.
Vegas.
Okay. You are. Gotcha.
So, yes, believe it or not, it's slower pace for me now because I look around here. In
Vegas.
Hawaii, of course, we didn't have Michael's, we didn't have Hobby Lobby, we didn't have Joann's. Here, I move here, I have 5 Michael's
Mhm.
within the area and 2 Joann's within the area, and then almost every corner is a Hobby Lobby.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no reason for me to have a store here, nor to continue the scrapbook business. So my life got slower a little bit. And then a friend of mine from Hawaii um, messaged me and she said, "Hey, have you heard of this company? I'm with this company." And I'm like, "Okay." And she says, "Check it out." And I looked at it and I'm like, "Oh, plastic templates." I was like, looking at them, I was going, "Oh, I don't know." She sent me some samples of the templates. And I'm like, "I don't know. You gotta, at this point, you have to remember, I just mentioned to you how many machines I have, right?
Yeah, I know it.
And I currently have, believe it or not, 4 full-size Cricut machines and 1 Joy." I'm like, of course, Joy just came later. But
Right.
and then I have 2 silhouettes. Not to mention a scan and battery scan and cut.
You're well experienced for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was like, and then of course I have a Big Shot, I have a Vagabond, I have a Cuttlebug.
We can't
I mean,
see
look,
behind you
I
except
have
for San
it.
Francisco.
And I'm not saying this because I'm bragging that I have it. Remember, I had a store.
No, right.
And
And
I
that
had,
would explain your first reaction.
yeah,
Absolutely. Like, what is
yeah, and then
like, why are you sending to this to me?
yeah, it's like why? And then of course, and then I looked at it and I was like, what is this plastic stuff? I mean, why would I want a template? This is something that I would have used in 2000,
Right.
right? When I
Right.
first started.
Right.
Then I looked at it. I looked at my Cricut machines that are collecting dust. I'm looking at the silhouette downstairs in my scrapbook room that's collecting dust. By the way, I have my 2 Cricut machines there. I have 2 Cricut machines up here and my Joy. And I go, why do I want this? Then I look at it and I think about myself, because there's a lot of crops here in my area. I met a lot of wonderful, fabulous ladies
In
here
Vegas, there's a lot
that,
of crops. That's fun.
oh yes, there's a lot of crops. And plus, the best thing about being in the mainland, I can jump in my car and point my car to Utah, where there's crops,
Right, there's crops.
or
Right.
or California,
California.
or within the city where my friends are, where we are all together here with my friends that we scrapbook together. And I thought about it and I'm like, well, I fill the back of my car when I scrapbook for a few hours. With these templates, it brings me back to basics,
Mm-hmm.
right? It brings me back to basics. I don't have to bring 3 machines so that I can make 1 page.
Right. Right. And you hope that you finish 1 page, really.
Yeah,
Right. That you
really,
hope that you
especially,
finish 1 page in the type of a crop. Yeah.
exactly. And then I thought about it, it's amazing. And just to let you guys know, like I mentioned to you guys, I came from making pages this thick to making flat pages. Because when you close your album and you open your album and you look at that thick page, and then you look at the other page next to it, oh, my daughter has a dimple. She doesn't have a dimple in real life.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I figured, and plus, I mean, I don't want to put an album in the shelf that's this thick, that's only like what,
10
maybe 10 pages.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought about it, I mean, in this age, in this time, everything's digital, but I am the type who is very visual and want to feel things.
Yeah. The satisfaction.
Feel, I think I'm
Yeah.
the only one. Yeah.
No.
I scrapbook and I print my pictures yearly, and then I prep them in an album. And I think I have an album, or I have a video where I showed how I put together an album for a year, in my YouTube channel.
Oh, sweet.
And so that's how I scrapbook. So I go and have I don't know if I could mention it. Let me go ahead and mention it. I print over 1,000 to 2,000 pictures at Walgreens in January.
Oh, you're busy. You're busy.
I broke their machine at CVS. I know. CVS calls me because I broke their machine.
Like, what are you doing? What kind of life are you living? Yeah.
Exactly. But then again, you know, as you evolve in your scrapbooking world,
Mhm.
my evolution, if you will,
Yeah.
started from this thick pages to, you know, flat pages now. And so a lot of it as I scrapbook now, I've learned to use the templates. And if I don't use the templates, that's okay, you
Mhm.
know. But a lot of my pages where I need my favorite templates, by the way, Susan, are the scallops and the brackets.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah, those are my favorite.
They're very
I love those two. Those are my two favorite. Those are the ones that I always go to most often. If you notice, you'll see in my some of my pages, even if it's not a Kiwi Lane video that I'm working on, I'll go ahead and use the scallops or the brackets.
right.
Um, so those are my favorite, my go-to, because I really love those little
Mm-hmm.
scallopy
Character, for sure.
embellishment. Yes. And one thing, and I'm not sure if Susan had mentioned it earlier. I don't know if you, my favorite product with Kiwi Lane is the Kiwi Kit Club. In fact, I have a playlist of the Kiwi Lane Kit Club from when it started. What was the first one again? Adventure.
Adventure
I
to
forget
Wait,
the name. The
15. Uh-huh.
Yes, Adventure Awaits. I have one from Adventure Awaits. In fact, I have the latest here, the
Harvest.
Homegrown Harvest. I already videotaped the opening of it. And normally I videotape from the opening to showing the kit and then to putting a layout.
I love it.
One page or two pages. Most often I do one page layouts, but in my video. But the one thing I really love about this Kiwi Lane Club Kit is that you have maybe up to 5 themed prints, but
Mm-hmm.
all the rest are generic. I love that I can pair this. I can pair this with last year's September or October, you know, the fall-ish colors. And sometimes I even use like, let me see, this color here, I
Yeah.
would use this for summer.
Right. For
I
some.
would use this for summer, for the sun and all that.
Yeah.
And so that's why this is my most favorite that of all the,
The
I
product.
mean, of course I like everything. I practically have your, I have all your older kits. I don't have to in love with those kits anyway, because of the generic prints.
Right.
Not so much as the actual themes, although I use the themes a lot for um, the season,
Yeah.
but the rest I
And I
cross
think that's,
them
yeah,
with
I
the
think,
rest of the season.
you know, your style that I've seen you do, I think that you really like to mix and integrate patterns and colors. And I think that's
Yeah,
really fun. So I think that's fun that you can show the kits being expanded and utilized in a various different ways. I think that's fun about your style. You really do that. Yeah.
I forgot what the kit that was. There's a couple of kits, or three or four. It is a feminine theme. I turned it into masculine theme because of, again, it goes back to the
Double-sided.
genericness of the prints. You know, you have the colors. And speaking of colors, one thing that I've learned lately, not just lately, I threw away my color wheel.
Oh, your color wheel. Yeah. The rules. You threw away the
Yeah,
rules. They're out.
I threw away my color wheel. You know why? It gave me a headache. Scrapbooking is supposed to be fun. So pull your papers, put your papers together. What do you see? If you see it, you know, if you like it, go for it. You know what? Because in the end, who looks at the albums most?
Right.
You,
Right. And it's
right?
really
I mean, sure,
representation of
your
your
family
style.
will do it.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
your family will look at your family, your friends would look at the album, but in the end, it's your creativity that you put down on paper,
Yeah. And
and
again,
that's what I hope is your takeaway from this conversation, guys,
I,
is that in the end, it's what makes you happy.
Well, and I think that the takeaway too, I think when you were sharing with me, I was like, I just love kind of again this evolvement, this evolution you called it, that it does seem kind of ironic. It's very normal. I laugh when you said I looked at the template and I was like, are you joking? Like, you know what I mean? Because yeah, it was this realization, but and I know you could probably explain this best for yourself, but just the reality that we got pulled into all these big shiny things and all these just different things, but in doing so, it kind of took some of that slight joy with it and or the accomplishment with it too, I
Yeah, I
know.
mean, and again, it goes back to, it's what makes you happy. There are times that I look at the papers and I look at the pictures and I go, oh, the templates won't work. Maybe I can look into Cricut and see what I have in there that I can
Absolutely.
cut. I mean, because we don't have everything in our current templates right now, although I know you're trying your best to get everything in.
No, we
But
don't. And
we
I always say
don't.
that. I always say
Yeah,
that Kiwi
we
Lane,
don't.
like, it was meant to be played friendly. Like we
Yes,
want it to be played friendly, but we want it to be a practical tool. And I say that like practical tool that encourages you to actually utilize what you have, like really utilizing what
exactly.
you have. I know you told me, and this is kind of tangent off a little bit here, but you were saying something. You were saying, Susan, if you guys would release like $100 a month, I would just buy it. And I was like, Marissa, that's the problem. I don't want to because I don't believe that you need to have that much product on hand every month. I was like, that's the
Oh,
misconception.
I remember that.
Yeah, but I think
Okay.
that's the misconception sometimes in scrapbooking. We believe, well, if I just buy this other thing, if I just buy this other thing, if I just buy this other thing,
Yes.
it really is not. It's the process. It's learning a process. And that's what we hope with the Play to Create system is that it gives you a platform for a process that you can build on top of. You know what I mean? Some kind of rhythm, some kind of system, some kind of inspiration that you can build from and move forward on that. But
Yeah, I
yes,
remember that part of our conversation because we were talking about how much do we have, how much we both have, and I said, well, my house, uh, the third garage is full, my loft is full, my scrapbook room is full,
right,
one of my formal dining room is full, and I'm not just saying this, guys, because you know that I shop a lot. I
right,
do, but at the same time, those are products that I accumulated. Remember, I've been scrapbooking since 2000. When we moved here, we were lucky enough because my husband had orders to move, so the military was able to move a lot of my stuff over. That's where I was lucky at, because not everyone who moved from Hawaii could move your household goods,
right.
and we were able to move our household goods. So with that said, a lot of people who move from Hawaii only have 2 suitcases. So
Right.
that's where I feel like I'm lucky, because I was able to bring all those stuff that I was telling you guys from this old store. Should I have and yes, I left I left about half of it in Hawaii too. I donated it all, but those are the stuff that I brought are the ones that I thought I couldn't live with.
Right,
You know?
right, right.
So, and that's why I was telling Susan, I said, if you put out $100 worth of stuff, because that's my budget every month from now on, I would buy her stuff.
And I
And
told
that's
her, I was
when
like, I
she
just don't
keeps,
even think in good conscience that I could because I think that it's just really hard. And you were saying, yeah, it's really interesting to hear a business person say that. And I'm like, no, I get it. But I, um, I also believe that in somewhat the industry got too overwhelming, like
exactly.
too consuming, that it almost started what I saw happening within myself and others too, is that in a way it did deflate confidence
Yes,
and confidence not only in the creativity but confidence in yourself to accomplish something, right? So
exactly.
when you get overwhelmed you lose confidence, and when you get overwhelmed with stuff, all the stuff, then you lose confidence when you do possibly have time to sit down and do something. You're like, well, where do I begin? Where do I get started?
And I think that's why when my friend, uh, let me call her Carlene. He told me and showed me Kiwi Lane, and I'm like, what the heck? And I actually thought about it for a few days. In fact, there are days in my office I'll just be staring at the screen thinking about the templates. I'm like, why would she give me this template? That's what I was thinking back then. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, maybe it's best, especially for someone like me who'd gone to a lot of classes, has tried so many techniques, to go back to basics. And you know what? It was very refreshing to go back to basics, guys, and then figure out, or at least for myself, that's my takeaway on that one.
Sometimes
That when I went back to
basics, you realize what you actually really do need and what you don't need. You're like, oh, I don't really need those, Yeah.
So if anyone wants some Cricut machines, let me know.
Yeah, let her know. If you're in Vegas, you're near her, let her know. Absolutely. I told you I grew up in Vegas, right, Marissa? I've told you that before.
Yes, you did.
I grew up in Northwest Vegas. Yeah. Anyways, well, I appreciate you so much sharing your thoughts and your wisdom of we can all learn from your experices, and that's truly what I love about
my mistakes. There's a lot of mistakes, guys, that I went through.
It's growth, and we all experience one way or another. But I think that's what I love about stories, is that we can take away and learn from each other, or hear our own stories. So I have no doubt that other people are probably like, yep, I'm right there with you, Marissa. I'm right there with you. Right?
Well, I'm not saying to either that, hey, if you have your Cricut machine that you like to use, hey, please use it. Bottom line is, if you have the tools, and I know I'm saying this, and I'm preaching this, and I want to be able to practice what I preach, is that, if you have the tools, use them. And I have my favorite tools right now. I have the Joy, which is, in my opinion, is a joy. And I have my templates. When I go to crops, I bring my crops. I don't have to bring 20 million machines with me. I still have my dies. I still have my Cricut, and I'm not thinking of giving those up. But at the same time, sometimes it's just refreshing to go back. And when you're really, really overwhelmed, looking at pictures, how am I going to work this out? Sometimes just pull out your templates.
Play to create. Absolutely.
Play with them. And that's what I've noticed. Unless you have something, you're hankering to use your Cricut, your whatever, your silhouette, your die cuts, go for it. I'm not saying don't, to get rid of all that, because but because you put your money there, and you're supposed to use that too. But at the same time, sometimes it's just very refreshing to go back to basics.
Do you find that you use your Cricut more compatibly now that you have a foundation of the Play to Create and Designer templates? Do you find, like, as you're designing, that you're like, oh, I'm inspired now to go, and whether that's a die cut or something on top of it?
I'm a very simple scrapper, and I'm sure I've always said that on my websites and in my YouTube channel, because I really am a very simple scrapbooker. When the inspiration strikes me, and I have a layout in mind for the picture, because I scrapbook looking at the picture. How do I want this picture to pop? Because you have to understand. Going back to the basics, this doesn't mean going back to the basics of the paper, the templates, or whatever. It's also going back to the picture. How do you want the picture to be highlighted, to be showcased on the page? And that's how I scrapbook. So I look at the picture and I go, that's why when I open the kits, I go, okay, I'll be back. Let me look for a picture for this.
The creative expression.
For this particular.
Yes, absolutely.
For this particular kit, I'm going to look for a picture that would go with the kit. And then I start thinking of layout. That's how I can showcase that picture using this kit. Because the kit, oh my gosh, I don't know, I'm not going to go back.
The Kiwi Club kits. Yes, you talked about them highly.
The club kits. The club kits are my most favorite. I
think that's wonderful. You've definitely been around the block with products, so it's fun to hear that you're listen, I love those Kiwi Club kits.
And thank you for for, you know, for the colors, the colors that you bring out, the
Right.
designs that you bring out. They're very what's the word I'm thinking of? They're very
Neutral, gender,
yeah, they're neutral gender, and they're very flexible.
flexible. Yeah.
Yes, you can use them for anything. Like I said, you just look at the color, like this one. I can use it for spring. I can use this for summer.
Awesome.
Obviously, I can use this for fall. But guess what? I can use this for Christmas too.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So it's all kinds of things that you could do with. You just have to look at it and then just let your imagination go with it. And again, of course, goes
Yeah.
back to the pictures that you want to showcase on the page.
You're so sweet to come on and to chat with me for a little bit. Tell me, do you know your YouTube channel? I'll try to get it from you and include it, but what is your YouTube channel?
It's so easy to remember.
Okay.
It's My Happiness. That's why it's called My Scrappiness.
Oh, my Scrappy. Gotcha. Because Scrappy makes her happy.
Yes.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that.
So that's right. That's why I called it My Scrappiness. So my and then scrappiness. So it's My Happiness.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing all your creations and all that you share. And then, of course, just seeing what you create and how you create it in your style, because I think that's what really fun too about, even though we provide a tool, everyone takes it and does it their way, their style, you know,
Yeah.
and I think that's beautiful. So, all right. Well, thank you so much again. And I hope that you're enjoying that living up in the clouds there.
I know. Welcome to San Francisco, guys.
You're flying. She's so scrappy. She's flying.
Yes.
Guys. All right. Well, thanks again. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Be safe, be well, and see you at My Scrappiness.